Hello everybody, and today I am going to be filming my April wrap-up for you guys. I read 14 books, and let me get to the rest of my stats here for you. I thought I was like in a reading slump, but I guess I wasn't since I, still read 14 books. It was 4,796 pages, and two stars, 3 stars, 2 3.5 stars, 4 3 stars, 2 4.5 stars, and 2 5 stars. And my average rating was 3.64. And I had 1 romance, 1 historical fiction, 2 YA books, 10 thrillers. So a really good month for thrillers. I wouldn't say they're all like the greatest thrillers, but I'm glad that I'm getting more in. Yeah. And then let me see. I think that's pretty much all my stats. Obviously, most of my books are from the library, and I forgot to do the stats. I want to start doing like the year the book was published. Maybe I'll do that. I'll go back and do that for April. But yeah, I read a pretty good mix of like older books and new releases, I think. So yeah, I will get into the books for you guys. And my first book was 8 Perfect Murders by Peter Swanson. I rated that a 3.5, and that was my very first Peter Swanson. It was pretty good, not like my favorite book ever. I rated a 3.5, and it was a very quick read if you would like a quick read. And obviously it does spoil a lot of books, but I really don't care to read those books. So I really didn't care. Yeah, and there's a lot of YouTubers that like explain the books in that book and like what's getting spoiled and etc. And if you don't mind getting spoiled for those older books, I would definitely say give this one a try. It is a man. He writes like some blog posts for the bookstore that he's working at a while ago, and it was the list of 8 perfect murders in books. And then all these like mysterious deaths come up, and some of them are like ruled an accident or like a murder that can't be solved. And this FBI agent goes to him and is like, "Hey, I think people are getting murdered, and I think it's because of this list that you wrote." And I was like, why is an FBI agent going to him? Like at first she was like questioning him, and then she was like having him help her like solve these murders. That was a little strange. I was like, what if, the whole time, like, why are you having him help you? But yeah, it's a good book. I'm not gonna like try to spoil anything, but like I said, it does spoil, those like older classic, like the Agatha Christie and like different, just older classic mystery thrillers that I'm not interested in reading anyway. And pretty good for my first Peter Swanson. I do have another one on here later on in the month. So then the second book I read was a hyped book, and that is Where the Crawdads Sing by Delia Owens. It was okay. I have 3 stars here. I would even say 2 stars. I don't even hardly remember it now. It just is not worth the hype, to me anyway. So yeah, I don't know. It's about it was really sad. It is about a girl that basically gets abandoned by her parents, and she lives in the swamp, and she does have to take care of herself for a while, and it goes just goes through her growing up. And then there's another timeline where a guy, they don't know, he turns up dead, but they don't know whether he was murdered, accidental. So it's the 2 timelines there, a little bit of that mystery element, but to me just didn't live up to the hype that surrounds it. Next book needs to be hyped way, way more, and I have been seeing a lot of people reading it, so that makes me happy. And it is a book club pick for the Literally Dead book club, that Books and Lala, her book club. It is the pick for May, so I'm glad more people will be reading that. And that is They Never Learned by Lane Fargo. And that gives me like such, oh man, How to Get Away with Murder vibes. That TV show, that was just such a good book. It is about a female serial killer. She is a professor, and she picks a guy on her campus every once in a while. I thought it was like once a year, but I think it might be a little bit more often. That is just a not so good guy that pretty much she thinks deserves to be dead, to murder them. And I read like the first chapter right before I went to work, and then I was like, I don't want to go to work. I want to read more of this book. It was very, very good and highly recommend it. It also has it has dual perspectives of, I believe her name is Carly, and she's a student at that school. So yeah, very, very good. I mean, Carly's perspective, I was like, okay, let's get to, the professor's perspective. But other than that, very quick read, very good. Glad more people are reading it because it deserves those 5 stars for sure. And then my next book that I got to read was Written in the Stars by Alexandra Bellfleur. And I gave that a book a 4 stars. I wanted to read that before the newest book comes out. This was one of Gabby from Gabby's Reads, like one of her like favorite romances of last year. And I just never got around to it, but I'm glad that I finally did. It was really, really cute. I loved all the astrology stuff in there. It would say like, what will you have for breakfast based on your astrology sign, and just like different like cool lists like that in there. So yeah, very cute romance. Glad that I finally got to read that one. Then the next book I read was kind of like a horror thriller. It is The Drowning Kind by Jennifer McMahon, and that is a book that just came out in April. It was pretty good. I had the audiobook. It was a little bit creepy, but not like to where I couldn't read it at night. It was pretty good. I gave it a 4 stars. It had, the same thing that author always does, the present and then the past, like way past. In the past, it had this couple that was like really trying for a baby, and they heard about this hotel that had magic water and healing water. And they went there, but unfortunately that water, it gives and it takes away. And then in the present, it has a sister relationship, and the sister is actually living at this old hotel that got like converted to, I don't think the hotel was there anymore, but a house was put on the property and the same pool was there. And the sister drowned in the pool, even though she was such a good swimmer and swam her whole life. So then the other sister goes to the house and just really wants to try to figure out what happened to her sister. So that's all I will say about that. But yeah, I would recommend that book, especially if you do like that author. I've only read 2 books by that author, so I can't say whether she's a favorite or not, but I want to read more by her. Then my next book I read was like a YA, like thriller. Wasn't too much of a thriller until like the ending pages, but it was very good. Has a very good twist. I gave that 4.5 stars, and I would recommend it, and the cover is beautiful. Yeah, so like it's kind of one that you have to like push through like past halfway, I would say. But yeah, it was definitely pretty good, and glad that I read it. The next book I read was A Taste for Love by Jennifer Yen, and that was just a cute YA romance. I gave it a 3-star. It was good, cute YA. That's all pretty much that I have to say about it. It is like a baking romance, and she helps her mom judge this baking competition, and there's like her mom like always tries to set her up, and then there's like all these guys there that are talking to her, and her mom actually was like, yeah, come judge this baking competition with me and meet all these guys. So yeah, definitely cute, and like to see how that played out. The next book I read was The Death of Miss Westaway that I have here, by Ruth Ware. I actually read this and The Woman in Cabin 10 this month, and I have officially read all of Ruth Ware's books. The Death of Miss Westaway, this girl, her mom passed away, her grandparents passed away, and she gets this letter saying, oh, your grandparents left you this estate for you. She's really having a hard time paying her bills. And she's like, but wait, my grandmother is dead. So how could she have, left me this when she died a while ago? So she pretends to be this woman's granddaughter and goes to claim that estate. So that's all I will say about that. It is a pretty crazy ride, but overall I did rate it 3 stars. And then the next book I read was The Sanatorium by Sarah Pierce. This is another hyped book that I thought was not very good. I did listen to it on audio, so that could have affected it. I think if I would have read it physically, it might have been a higher rating, but the rating I did give it from the audiobook was 2 stars, and it is about a sanatorium that got converted into a very fancy hotel. I did talk about this in my Thrills and Chills readathon TBR, because now we are at the start of the readathon. This is the first book that I finished for it, and the main character goes there with her brother and his fiance ends up going missing, and she is a detective that got suspended or just is taking a break, but then she goes back into her detective ways and just tries to see what happened to her brother's fiance. So that is The Sanatorium by Sarah Pierce. Hyped book that I just didn't think really deserved the hype. I'm not having the best luck with Reese's Book Club picks, but I keep trying, so there is that. I really do like her YA picks though, so I definitely want to read more of those. The next book I read for the readathon was Behind Closed Doors by B.A. Paris. I don't know what took me so long to read this. I loved every second of it. I got through it so quickly, and it was so good. 5 stars. If you have not read this yet, I know it's an older release, but if you haven't read this yet, you need to read it this year. You need to just get to it because it is very, very good. It's about a couple, Jack and Grace, and Jack is a very nice guy, and Grace has to take care of her sister, and Grace doesn't think that she'll ever find anybody that will love her and accept the fact that she loves her sister and she's going to take care of her sister. And then she finds Jack, thinks he's the perfect man. Well, once they get married, things start to happen. It goes from past to present timelines, and definitely, I've been reading this line to you on TBRs, the perfect marriage or the perfect lie. So just definitely perfect saying for the front of this book. So happy I finally got to this book. This is not on a TBR video anymore. This is on a I finished it video. So there is that. And then the next book that I read for this readathon was Finlay Donovan is killing it. I gave that a 3.5 star. It is by Ella Cosmino. It is a new mystery book that just came out this year, and it is the start of a series. To me, it was also a little bit too hyped up, but I don't know if I'm going to continue the series, but I also might because of that ending. Like, it's a hard choice, so we'll see. We'll see if I get to the second book. I probably will, to be honest, and I hope the series gets better. Yeah, because this one, everybody's giving it like 4 and 5 stars, and they're like really hyping it up. To me, it was only about a 3.5. So yeah, that's that book. The book is very pretty. I love pink books, but I did get it from the library and kind of glad that I got it from the library. And then the last book that I read for that readathon was The Woman in Cabin 10 by Ruth Ware. This one, unfortunately, was another dud for me. It was 2 stars. I do like Ruth Ware's newer work for sure. I liked One by One and The Turn of the Key, so I will continue reading Ruth Ware, but her backlist was just a little bit of a dud for me. This is about a woman who just is going through a breakup, and then she goes on a cruise ship, and she thinks that she sees somebody, or she doesn't see it, but she hears somebody being thrown off of the ship, but then everybody is there. All of the staff is there. All of the people that are supposed to be there are there. So she just is wondering, I know I heard this woman being thrown off, but everybody thinks I'm crazy. So like the whole time, it just kind of is going through that, and you figure out what really happened and what she heard. And then the next book is the other Peter Swanson book that I read. That was Every Value Break for Gabby's Book Club, The Book Troop. And I gave that a 4.5 star. Very good, pretty quick read. I didn't read it that quick because I started it before the readathon and then finished it after. But yeah, the beginning part was like a little bit unnecessary. She just was like talking about all of her past boyfriends. But once you get past like that, just a little bit of the beginning part and like really get into the book, it's pretty hard to stop. Yeah, a pretty good book. I read like a lot of the last half. I pretty much read the last half in a day. So yeah, definitely a quick read, good read, and I want to read more by Peter Swanson. I'm currently reading The Kind Worth Killing, so hopefully that will be in my May wrap-up. Then my last book that I read for the month of April is The Good Sister by Sally Hempworth. I gave that a 4 stars. I would definitely recommend that book, especially if you liked, I believe it's The Mother-in-Law by that author. She's quickly becoming not like a favorite author, but an author that I really enjoy. This is about sisters, and I don't know, I haven't read the synopsis, so I don't want to spoil too much. But the one sister, she really has one view of her childhood, thinking that her childhood was really good, and then the other sister was like, no, our mom really sucked. You're not seeing the childhood that we actually lived. So yeah, that was really interesting. So it went in the past of how these sisters grew up, and then in the future, the one sister, I think it is the older sister, is having some trouble getting pregnant and having troubles with her husband and things like that. And the sisters are really, really close, but turns out the one sister is hiding some things. So that's all I'm going to say about that. I hope I didn't spoil anything about it, but I would definitely recommend. And I actually finished Every Value Break and The Good Sister on the last day of April, because I was I gotta finish some books. And yeah, those were 2 very good books to finish up for the last day of the month. So that is my April wrap-up. Thank you for listening to this long wrap-up. If you like this video, please like and subscribe. And maybe I'll start doing a mid-month wrap-up is what I think I'm going to do if I read like 14 books or more, or 10 books or more. I'll do like 5 the one like mid-month wrap up, and then 5 the next, just to make my videos a little bit shorter. But yeah, if you like this video, definitely stick around for more. I have a lot of video plans out, and definitely want to try to find some more time to film and just talk about books, because that's what I like to do. So thank you and have a great day.